Hi, everybody. Good morning. Hi, I'm Robin Hill, and I have a very special What's Sewing down at the post today. And I'm here with
just in case
Alba,
I don't want to close the wrong one.
And we're going to do. And we've had some technical problems all morning,
If
and I
you
really
could
apologize
shut them
for
off,
that.
go ahead.
Hang on. Anyway, we're here to do the virtual spring show, and we've lost Alba. Alba, where'd you go? Alba. Ooh, we've lost Alba. Oh, there's Alba.
Hopefully they hear me.
Anyway, I'm going to turn this over to Alba, and she's going to go. So, Alba,
okay,
take it away.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Stitching Post and the Virtual Quilt Show. I am so excited to be here and to be presenting two feature machines. Just like at a quilt show, you come in, you want to see wonderful machines, great product, and I'm here to show that to you. So this is part one of our two-part session. We also have a class coming up, so you want to be sure to reach out to the Stitching Post for full information. But the two machines that I'm going to be going over are the Continental M7 and the Skyline S7. I'm going to start with the Continental M7. And the first thing I want to do is show you all of the accessories that are included with this machine. Look at all of these feet that come with the machine. I'm going to go over a few of them. I love the package that Janome puts with their machine. Now, I have one of the AccuFeed feet on my machine. I have two AccuFeed feet that come with this machine, a narrow and a wide. And you're going to notice that there are two plates on the table and one on the machine. 3 plates are included with this machine. I love that Janome does that. If you've ever bought a straight stitch plate, you know they could run between $80 and $100. So having 3 plates is absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to explain. This is our straight stitch plate. And what's really nice about this one, you'll notice it has 3 holes. So that not only can you use center needle position, but you could use right and left needle position. So that means that you could do a scant 1/4 of an inch seam, go as scant all the way to as much as 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and be using a straight stitch plate. The AccuFeed system, this is the narrow HP2 foot, and this is correlating with our HP plate and foot. So HP stands for high precision. This plate is married to this foot and they're meant to work together. And if you notice, this is a solid metal foot. It flexes up and down, but no side to side movement. So that will give you precise, detailed sewing. And I'm going to show you my favorite use for this, which is top stitching. But this foot, when you line up your fabric to the edge of the foot, gives you an absolutely perfect 1/4 inch foot. A 1/4 inch seam. So I really love that, and I'm going to show how that goes onto the machine. 2 AccuFeed feet, and just a wide variety of different feet. Whether you're sewing garments, quilting, home deck, there is a foot there that will suit your needs. And one that I like to mention is the ruler foot. The Continental M7 doesn't only come with a ruler foot, but it has a ruler mode. And the Stitching Post is offering a phenomenal special where they're going to be including a set of Janome rulers along with the machine. I really can't think of anything that you would need to buy extra with the package that you're getting, but make sure to reach out to the store because there are plenty of extra and optional items. So I am going to bring you to the machine and we're going to go over a few things. I'm just going to move some things out of the way. And right now, I have my AccuFeed foot on, and that is our built-in walking foot. And with this foot, it's giving you upper feed dogs, and I left them pointing up, and they correlate and correspond with that lower feed dog. So when you're working with multiple layers like a quilt sandwich, it's going to feed the fabric perfectly. So I am going to activate and tell my machine that my dual feed is on and working. And I love the screen nice and large so you could see everything. And you're going to notice that when I start sewing and start, it is not only going to give me that nice, beautiful feed, and I'm going to slow that down so you see that upper feed dog walking. And this is going to give me just beautiful control. With the fingertip, look at how beautifully I'm able to achieve that curve. Look at that beautiful stitching, no puckering. I'm going to use my scissor button. That is cutting my upper thread and my lower thread, and that raises the foot for me. Beautiful. And I get picture perfect results each and every time. But now I'm going to show you something that I bet you didn't think you could do with a built-in walking foot. And that's go to a decorative stitch. And I am going to go to one of my favorite stitches, and that is my little bow tie. So I am going to use a decorative stitch with that built-in walking foot. And even at that full speed, look at how gorgeous. I'm going to finish another one. And I'm using my locking stitch because that will tell the machine, complete that next bow and then stop. It locks that stitch. Again, I'm using my scissor function to cut my thread. And look at how absolutely beautiful those are. And that's using a built-in walking foot. So whether you're doing straight line sewing or you're doing decorative stitches, that's going to give you just a control like nothing else. Now, I had mentioned that there are 3 different plates that are included with the machine, and I wanted to show you that HP plate and foot. Now, I know that there's different plates and different feet. I'm going to have you look at that one. And what I love is how easily the plates remove. When I lock my machine for safety and on the screen, I touch that icon to let it know I want to change the plate. That foot comes up, the plate lifts automatically, and I could change out from one plate to another just really easily. And I'm going to drop that down. And when I unlock my machine knows and is aware that I have changed that plate because it is giving me only the stitches that are available for my HP foot. And I am going to put on that HP foot so that you could see how that goes on. So I am going to remove my AccuFeed foot, and I am just loosening that up. And I also like that I'm able to remove that AccuFeed and have it on just when I need it. So I'm going to put that foot on. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. And now my HP foot and plate are on the machine. And I said these are like a married couple, never to be divorced. And I meant that. The foot will allow the foot and the plate work together in harmony and just will give you a really, really nice result. When I line up my foot and the fabric on the edge, I am going to get a perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I am going to sew and I'm just guiding my fabric. I love that Janome feed system, that it just feeds fabric beautifully. So I have that perfect 1/4 inch seam. And I said I was going to show you what I like to do best with this, and that is top stitching. So right now I have my fabric and I'm going to line that up with the inside of my foot. So that bump or ridge is on the inside, and I am going to sew right along that very, very edge. And I'm going to show you just how close. Look at how beautiful that stitching is right along that edge of that seam. So I had said I really like this for top stitching, for doing my perfect 1/4 inch piecing, so that when I line up, I get that perfectly beautiful seam. And this is the HP foot and plate. And you'll notice again, as I said, there is no wiggle room to this foot. It is a solid foot. And what I'm doing here is I'm folding up my fabric and even going and I'm even tucking that in underneath my previous seam. So I'm going to go from thin onto thick, and it just goes through it like butter. Even sewing off my fabric, not an issue with that Continental M7. Look at that, not a skip stitch, and I'm going to get in nice and close. So this could handle all of those heavy duty items. And I wanted to show you that HP foot. And this is one that I really like to use. Again, I'm going to remove the plate to show you once again how that plate just comes off very easily. And I'm going to go back to my standard zigzag plate so that I could show you some of the other items on the machine. So you'll notice just how easy. Why isn't everything in life that easy, Sam? I have Sam Fung, one of our other educators, helping me today. So he's manning our camera. And I just moved around so that I could show you just how easily those feet come on and off. And I am going to show you just our regular sewing standard foot. This is a 7mm. And actually, I'm going to bring you back to that walking foot. So with the walking foot, putting that on, you just want to loosen that screw enough to get that fully in. And I'm going to tighten up that screw. I'm trying to do this without my hands being completely in the way. Perfect, and I've connected that in. So as I said before, with this built-in walking foot, I love when I've switched out from one plate to another, now you'll see my screen and the machine knows what plate I've put on there so that it really will stop me. There's nothing worse than when I have a straight stitch plate on and I pick a decorative stitch because I've forgotten, and you hear that crash sound and your needle breaks. Just absolutely awful. Now, on the corner of my machine is a QR reader. And this machine, I just love the technology that's gone into this machine. And that QR reader corresponds with our app. And that's that AccuSpark, that teal green on the bottom row in the center. And I'm going to touch and open that up. And you're going to notice that this is our QR reader. And in addition to that, I'm going to try and steady that phone for you. Perfect. In addition to that is also general items that if you're a Janome user or if you're a sewer in general, I would download that AccuSpark app just to be able to get the presser foot information, the general instructions and tips, and even our touchscreen keys are universal from one Janome to another. So it really is going to give you a lot of information. So when I go to the presser feet, how many times have you pulled out your Janome, you see a foot and you're like, now what is a G foot? Can't remember what it is, or that M foot, and you have to go back to your manual. So even without having this machine, I would say download this app. It's going to be very, very helpful to you. Our general sewing tips. So when I look through here, I have a bunch of different items, and I know lately on Facebook everyone's been asking me about buttonholes. I don't know, it must be something's going on. Some pattern must have a lot of buttonholes on it, but this gives you a virtual manual. And it goes through all of that instruction for you without having to find your manual. Because if you're anything like me, my manual is just never around when I need it to be. Now, I had said that this was a QR reader, and right here in the corner is our QR reader, and I'm going to open that up. And I am going to bring that and look at that. It brought me right to the page of where I was at. So I am going to go to just a completely different screen. I'm going to open up an applique and I'm going to open up number 8. And when I read that QR code, it brings me to the instruction for the stitch and the page that I am on. So I love having that virtual information available to me. And it is at a fingertip, really easy, just really easy to get to. I love that Janome has done that. Now that AccuSpark app, I'm going to show you the app one more time, what the app looks like. And I'm just bringing it up on my phone as soon as I could focus there. And it's that teal, and sorry for the movement, right there, AccuSpark. And that is downloadable on Android and Apple products. So no matter what type of smartphone you have, that will work for you. So just a lot of the technology that's in this machine. One of the other things you've noticed, I was sewing, I went over thick, I went over thin. I'm going to do that one more time. And even as I'm talking, You barely hear the machine. It just is smooth running and quiet. And the reason it's able to have that force and just go through all of those thicknesses is that brushless DC motor. So, what a brushless DC motor is, this is a motor that's normally held off and used on commercial machines. And this is built with a commercial motor. So, it's really meant to go through heavy, it's meant to really take a beating. So, all those bags that you do. So, here is a heavyweight bull denim. So that's 2 layers, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9.5, we'll call that. And I'm even having a hard time putting it under the foot. But if it fits under the foot, that machine will sew through it without a problem. Look at how easy. And again, when I cut, it raises my foot, and I am able to sew through that beautifully. And I'm going to see if I could. So I'm going to bring that up really close. And I apologize about that darkness, but just really beautiful, heavy stitching. And this is 12 layers with interfacing of cotton fabric. So I'm going to show this because it's a lighter color. That will show up much, much better for you. So look at that right there. Going through all of that thickness. You could see that in between my fingers. That's about 1/4 inch thick. So I love just the technology and the thought that was put into the machine for doing this. Now, I had mentioned some of the other feet that were included, and one of the things that I want to go over is that ruler foot. Ruler foot quilting has become so popular, and I wanted to put that on the machine and show you how easy it is to do that on the Continental M7. And that's because we have a ruler work mode. So I am removing my foot. You will see how easy the AccuFeed comes on and off, how easy it is to change from one foot to another, to change from one plate to another. Just a lot of ease of use with the machine. And I am pulling out a quilt sandwich, and I am going to show you the ruler work set. This is a 6-piece ruler set that is coming with the machine. This is normally a $200 value, and it is coming with the machine as a special for a limited time. And I am going to pull out some of those rulers to show you what you are getting. Now, these are clear, so I know it's going to be really tough to see. I have Sam shaking his head at me, going, "What are you doing?" But I wanted to show you what you are getting in here. And I'm still pulling out. There's more and more. So I really like the fact that you're getting such a wide variety that you really will be able to get started with your quilting immediately out of the box. And that crosshair template is also included, and this is to mark your center points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate and show you a little bit of ruler work quilting. So I'm just moving some things out of the way, and I'm actually going to show you some of Sam's beautiful samples as I go around to the machine. So these are some of the looks that you can get with ruler work. Now, I don't know about you, but in free motion, I love to do free motion, but I could never get this precise repeated over and over again. And look at that triangle. I wouldn't even attempt that in free motion. You will get an instructions sheet of how to do different things with the rulers. So we're not just giving you the rulers and go figure it out. Of course, Janome is going to give you instructions. So you're going to get instructions to do each one of these items that was done here, and it's going to complete into a holder that will hold all of your rulers. So not only are you getting the rulers, but you're going to get the instructions for how to turn it into something. So now I'm going to come to the screen, and we're just going to give it a second for the camera to catch up. And I'm looking at my screen, and I have a t-shirt down at the end, and that t-shirt is for sewing applications. And when I go into this mode, this will allow me to optimize different areas that I'm going into. Right now, I'm in the sewing area, and these are different areas that are optimized for me in sewing. I also have my quilting function, which will give me my different quilting options, and also to foot options for the different optional feet that are available. And I'm going to go back into ruler mode, and just hold on one second. I hit my power cord accidentally. It'll pop right back up again. And I'm going to go back to that mode, and I am going to go to my ruler work quilting. And I love that there's a mode. So it lowered the feed dogs. You don't even hear that those feed dogs went in. It's going to ask me, are you working on medium or light batting? So it will allow me to choose all of those things. And it sets up everything in the machine for you so that all you have to do is start and enjoy. And I'm going to show you with this one, and this one ruler happens to be one of my favorites. So this is the Spin Effect 11, and it will give you a 5.5-inch design. These are all done and designed for us by Westerly. So this is one of my favorites, and I like to do a border with this. Now, this one can do beautiful flowers and lots of different things, but I want to show you what a beautiful border I'm going to do. So I'm just moving this so that I am starting at the bottom of my fabric, and I'm going to give myself a little bit more room. And I'm going to show you how I do a beautiful border. I'm setting my speed to medium.
I'll talk to you later.
And I am going to lower that foot and raise it. And I meant to hold on to my fabric to raise my thread, my bobbin thread. Perfect. So now I have that, and I'm going to get started. And the ruler just makes it so that you get picture perfect at a point. I'm stopping, and I'm going up to the top, and I'm just going to move that thread underneath my ruler. And now I'm going to advance.
Except you really
And I'm going to go back up the other side, and I'm going to advance, and Sam is laughing at me. I don't have grips on my ruler template. So my template moves slightly, but you will see that this is very, very easy to do.
An amplifier.
And it gives you that perfect teardrop shape. And again, I'm going to advance.
How much was the amplifier?
And now for my border, I would have nice little teardrops here. But instead of teardrops, I'm going to double this up and show this as a really nice border. And I am going to move to my next one. And the rulers really give you a guide to giving you that perfect shape. And what this is an intermingled, and it's almost going to give me like an orange peel effect. And I love that the stitching post is going to include this with the machine. As I said, this is normally another $200 value. And you see that point, and maybe you've been looking at ruler work and saying, I don't know what this is about. What can I do with it? So this gives you just very precise shapes that can be repeated over and over again. And all of the shapes and all of the rulers you will be getting. This is the one I was just working with, done as a single. That beautiful heart shape are clamshells, a pointed oval. These are a combination of some of those put together. So just beautiful capability to be able to be done with that ruler work mode. And I love the fact that with that sewing application, you're able to set up your machine very quickly, very effortlessly, and just beautifully done. So let me show that once again. So in the quilting, it's going to go everywhere from patchwork piecing, and this is doing chain piecing the Janome way, computerized, free motion quilting, ruler work, variable zigzag, which is an exclusive function to Janome, our applique function to be able to do our straight stitch for basting, decorative stitching, clasp stitching. So just a wide variety of functions that are pre-set up and optimized for you. And also in the sewing mode. I've always said sewing woven and seam sewing, what could they possibly optimize? But let's look at that stretch knit. And I know when people go to using stretch knit fabric, they cringe and think it's so difficult. But Janome's really made it easy. What weight of fabric are you using? If right now I'm set to a medium and my settings are set for that. But when I go to a heavier weight, you'll notice that my stitch length got longer to adapt for that weight. And our tensions are set up so the machine is doing all of the hard work for you so that you could just enjoy your sewing. And I love that about the Janome product. And again, with the optional feed, I love that you're also getting help and just that advisory type concept where the machine is being set up and optimized for you. And I know some of you are probably saying this machine looks huge, and it is. So we kindly refer to it as the beast. And you may have seen that in some of our Janome advertisement, but I'm going to pull up my notes right now for the measurements for you on the machine. So from the needle to the base is 13.7 inches of glorious space to be able to do that quilting, those big projects, all that free motion, home deck. 5.5 inches in height so that you're able to fit any project imaginable. Now, my machine base, which is a solid metal base, is 7.75, but you notice I have a table around it, which is included with the machine. So my depth from front to back is 15.75, and from one end of my table to the other is 26.77 inches. So I love that. But for me, it's the simple little things. Look, they gave me an M&M drawer. I love having storage for my candies, my goodies, but all kidding aside, this will hold my bobbin, my feet, all of my accessories that come with that machine. And I love having that there. It's just a simple little thing, but solves a lot of problems. Now, I know I did some decorative stitching before. The machine has the capability of doing 9mm stitching. And look at this beautiful dress form showing all of those stitches. 240 decorative stitches on the machine, most of which are a 9mm width on them. And I have the needle adjustment capability that I have 91 needle positions that I can move to on the machine. And I am going to remove this foot, and I am going to show you those 91 needle positions that are available on this machine. So some of you might be saying she's putting that AccuFeed back on. She's talking about decorative stitches. And that's because I can do decorative stitches even with my AccuFeed foot on. Now I want to let my machine know that I am going into not only decorative stitches, but I want to do this with my AccuFeed. So I am letting the machine know that my manual dual feed is on, and that will allow me to utilize my built-in walking foot with those decorative stitches. So I am going to go to a quilt sandwich. So I'm making this really as difficult as it can get. And I am going to do those decorative stitches right on that quilt sandwich. And if you notice, I'm barely holding my fabric. I am really letting the machine, and I'm going to turn as it's doing that decorative stitch, and I'm able to do that. Look at how beautiful that function really is. Now, pivot is a feature that I absolutely love, and I just activated this on my machine. And what pivot will do is it will allow me to, when I come to a stop, and I'm doing another decorative stitch, a Greek key, when I come to a stop, my needle will be down, my foot will be up so that I can change directions. And this becomes really helpful, especially in applique. So right now I'm doing a blanket stitch, one of many, and I am going to slowly come to a stop. I'm going to turn my fabric, and I am going to be able to do that so effortlessly. Now, if I were doing applique, let's say I'm going around a curve. Look at how easily I am able to do that. No tugging, no pulling, no stopping, no fighting with my machine, just effortless. And I'm going to give you a close-up look at that. Look at how beautiful that curve is. Look at how nice and sharp my outer corner is. Just absolutely beautiful. I'm going to take a momentary stop. I'm going to see if there's any questions that have come up on the Continental M7 and give Robin an opportunity to come on the screen.
Hi, I'm on here. So, does anybody have any questions? We did have one comment though. This machine is amazing. And I know you guys call it the Beast down in Janome, but we like to call it the Supergirl.
How much time has gone by?
So now we're getting ready to start moving on to the Sky 7.
So I'm a good time to go to the next machine.
Hi, we can hear you. The fun of technology. So I want to apologize to everybody that we were so late today. Unfortunately, the internet decided to go, I'm tired, don't want to work. So we got set up and
yeah. I probably mixed up my sets because I was scrambling this morning. All right.
Here, let me do that for her.
Okay.
There we go. Now, but anyway, does anyone have any questions? If you do have any questions or anything, just pop them on the screen and we'll be able to answer them. Anyway, we've got some exciting things today. I know you all are used to us showing our project of the week, but we'll be doing that on Mention It Monday with Mary and Charity. So what we've got going on here, I wanted to bring in the graphic, but I will post that in Facebook later today. So basically here what you're going to get is if you get any of the machine specials, we're going to include what I like to call the Quilter's Priority Package. And so that would be the working set of rulers and let's put it in there. The working set of rulers and everybody sees Rip's cage. The working set of rulers and the quilter binder foot. Now, if you watched Mention It Monday this week, you saw that. So we're going to go back and check and see if Alba's ready to go here. Are we ready, guys? We ready?
Hi, everyone. So I'm back. And you may not have noticed, but we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty. So if there is a little bit of a delay or anything like that, it's why it's going on. But now what I wanted to talk to you about is the Skyline 7. So the Skyline 7 is going to have a lot of the same features that I went over and talked about on the Continental M7, but this is a much smaller footprint. So it's an 8 3/4 inch from the needle to the edge, and it's giving me that 5-inch height. But what I like about this is that I'm getting similar capabilities, but this is what I like to refer to as an intermediate machine. So when you've outgrown your light, portable, little tiny travel machine, and I want to have a knee lift, I want to have my built-in walking foot, my AccuFeed system, I want to have my auto lifter just like my big machine. This is a great travel intermediate machine. This could be your standalone one and only machine. This could be one that you bring to classes with you. It's at a 22-pound range, so it's still very portable, but this is a serious machine with with just the features that it has. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you in closer and show you the machine. I do have the machine set up right now, and I have it in the screen, and I'm just going to move so that the camera can show you the screen. You're going to notice a lot of differences from the Continental M7 to the Skyline S7. Today, 7s are wild. You're going to notice that I have a lot of those same functions, a lot of stitches like I had on that M7. I love this machine. As I said, I like to bring this to classes because it gives me everything that I've come to love and just use all the time with a full-size machine, but coming in a bit more compact. You'll notice that I have that sewing applications, and I have all of my optimized items the same way, including my quilting functions and my ruler work functions. So here you're going to see a lot of that same functionality. When I go to my quilting function, it's dropping and it's going to alert me of what I need to do next. So I could go into free motion and it's going to tell me lower the feed dog, which is right on the side. So I like that it gives me a lot of alerts. It's telling me which foot to use, what I need to go to for that machine. Easy to navigate through the screen. I can go from straight and buttonhole stitches. My next one over is going to give me all of my decorative stitches in categories, and I have one of 2 pages. So it will allow me to scroll through all of those functions and my alphabet. So I have lettering capability on this, and it is that 9mm lettering capability. What I am going to do is I am going to show you some sewing so you can really get a feel for what the machine sounds like, what it feels like, and I am going to put on a foot, one of the feet that comes with the machine, and this is our F foot, and this is a general all-purpose foot. Now I wanted to show you on the decorative stitching what I mean when I'm saying that 9mm stitching. So I want to pick something that is going, and actually I'm going to do this with a zigzag. And right now, I am going to enlarge my width. And right now, I'm going to show you 7mm width because you could really see that nicely. And this is what normally is on most machines. But on the Janome machine, it not only goes to a 7mm, but it enlarges and goes to 9mm width. So now I'm going to show you a 9mm width. And I have 91 needle positions. I'm going to bring that down to a 7. And you'll hear that beeping. That's just me adjusting to 7. And even as I am sewing, I can bring that all the way down to go really, really narrow. So here is my 9 millimeter, my 7 millimeter, and I went down to a 2.5. And I love the fact that I can adjust as I'm sewing. And I'm going to put that down so you see that better. Now, what I'm going to have you look at is the needle itself, and I'm just going to move some of those threads out of the way. So right now, I'm at a center needle position, and we're just going to adjust that camera. Perfect. Now you could see that better. So here is my needle, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that fabric up so you could see it moving. And I am going to adjust that needle. Do you see that moving ever so slowly? So one at a time, you barely notice it's moving. But when I'm pressing and holding, and now I'm going to come to the right, I have 91 needle positions. And this is really incredible because a lot of machines do not give you that detailed of needle position movement. And I love that Janome gives me that kind of detail. I would expect it on a bigger machine. And a lot of people are like, oh, but that intermediate machine won't have that kind of detail. Yes, it does. I love little things like that door opens up. It allows me to see my take up lever, see my thread, and get to everything I need to get to in the machine. So I like that even on this level and this size of a machine that I can do that. And what I'm going to show you now are some of the decorative stitches that are in the machine. So we're going to look up at the lid of the machine and also on our screen, and you're going to see just what a great selection that you have. I am going to go to that pictograph section, and I'm going to look at those three right there. This is a needle, a spool of thread, and a scissor. And I'm going to show it to you on screen, which might be a little bit easier to see. And I'm going to show you those stitches. There we go. And just really pretty, really nice, a lot of function. And I'm going to stitch out one of those. Same way with that locking stitch, I could tell it to stop at the end of that one particular stitch. But now what I'm going to do is combine. And with my combine function, I could say do one needle, do one spool, do one scissor, and then I want you to stop. My locking stitch is like putting a period at the end of the sentence. And I hit my scissor to get rid of my tail of thread at the beginning. And I'm going to do 3 different decorative stitches. And it will stop automatically. And it's doing that beautiful locking stitch and just allow me a lot of functionality within the machine. I like that going from one Janome product to another, our icons remain the same, and it is something that becomes very familiar to you. But look at how beautiful those stitches are. I'm going to put my fingers next to those so you get a feel of how large 9 millimeter stitching really is. I'm going to come to the table, And I have the machine on a universal table. You may want to ask at the stitching post about that universal table. And I wanted to show you what comes with this machine. So we're getting that beautiful buttonhole foot with the stabilizer plate. And by having the plate underneath that buttonhole foot, it allows your fabric to stay secure and just gives you a really beautiful buttonhole. You are still getting that AccuFeed capability, and you are getting that wide AccuFeed foot, the standard one, along with a 1/4 inch foot, an overcasting foot, a blind hem foot, a roller hem foot, and our buttonhole foot. So just a lot of functionality with the machine. And of course, our knee lift. Because the Skyline S7 has that auto lift and pivot feature, you are going to find that you're not going to be going to that as often with the knee lift, but I love the fact that we have it and that it is available, because there are times when I just like to have that knee lift. So I had shown the pivot function earlier, and it is also on this machine. So I am going to choose a blanket stitch because it just makes sense when I'm doing this function to do something with that. Now, my teeth are going on my blanket stitch to the left, and I want to move them around. I love the fact that when I make a change, it visually shows up. And I am going to start doing that blanket stitch. And I have my machine set up so that when I come to a stop, the needle will be down and the foot will be up, that pivot function. And I'm pressing and holding that stop start button so that I can precisely stop where I need to. And I'm going to turn. And I have a function on the screen, that B button, beginning of pattern. And when I touch that, that will give me that beautiful, perfect corner. So I'm never going to get that backward step, and I'm going to get that beautiful outside corner. Won't that be really handy at the next applique class that you take? And look at that beautiful outside corner, no backward step. Those stitches are just absolutely pristine. But just because it's a smaller size doesn't mean I have smaller capability. So I am going to get some denim thread and show you that even on this machine, I am able to go through thick, heavy fabrics. This is a workhorse of a machine, and you're going to find yourself going to it very, very often. So here I am with 2 layers, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now let's hope I could get it under the foot. So I'm under the foot with that. I'm going, excuse me, to a straight stitch, and I'm just going to slow that down a little bit. Look at how it goes through that like butter. I mean, it's really puffing up in front of the foot. So you could tell that it's going through a lot of thickness. Look at how thick that is between my fingers. That is a lot. And there, you could see how thick it was because of how it bows. And just absolutely perfect stitching. Not a skip stitch in sight. So I like the fact that Janomes can really handle thick, thin. They really can take a beating and go through a lot of different functions. And I am going to switch out and show you free motion on this machine, because I get asked about free motion on machines often. Now, I also have that sewing applications button, which optimizes functions. So I am going to go and I'm going to tell it I'm doing quilting and I am doing free motion quilting. So it's going to advise me and let me know I need to lower my feed dog, which I have just done. And I am going to put a quilt sandwich under that foot and I am going to show you some free motion quilting. Now, when I press start, it will take one stitch and stop. And that's to allow me to bring my threads underneath my foot and to raise my bobbin thread if I were doing an intense design. And I am just doing some stippling on here. And that just allows me to do free motion effortlessly. And I am just going to get that same beautiful result on the top and on the bottom. And I didn't pull up my bobbin thread. Sometimes with doing live, it's really tough to get at an angle to the machine. So just a beautiful, beautiful result. So now I'm going to show you some of the things that you can do with the Janome machines. So I'm going to point out some samples and I'm going to start with this Janome banner. So here you'll see that beautiful appliquing with a satin stitch, and it just went around those letters beautifully. You're able to get really nice, even results. I did my quilting here with decorative stitches. And I even like to put my binding on completely by machine. We're going to go to this runner here, and I'm just moving things that I've put on top of my samples so that you could see. This is one that on the Facebook Live page, I actually taught this particular sunflower. It was done with one of the optional accessories, a circular sewing attachment, which did all of my circular pieced areas in an applique mode versus doing circular piecing. So just beautiful, beautiful results with that. And now we're going to go to the wall. And this you may have noticed from the advertisement and the pictures. This is the free motion quilt that is on our M7 workbook. The M7 workbook is an optional purchase, and I did want to make you aware of that. That workbook really brings you through every aspect of the machine in a project format. So you do work on blocks and you go over every function imaginable and all of the feet that come with it. So this is a great add-on to your instruction book. And this is the quilt that is on the cover of that workbook. Now this is free motion, and this was a challenge to myself. I had never really worked on a whole cloth quilt, and I wanted to do each leaf in a different motif. And the M7 just gave me the space and the tools to really advance and go beyond what I thought I was capable of doing. So I was very happy with this one. And there are two others that I'm going to show you. This quilt here is a shadow work quilt. It was pieced and put together on the Continental M7. And believe it or not, my binding I did actually do on the Skyline 7 because I was just at a different spot and needed a different machine. And all of the quilting on this was done on a Janome embroidery machine with our quilting hoop. And I'm going to go to the one in the corner. Here I really utilized our AccuFeed foot and those 91 needle positions. So here is all echoed and line quilting that was done with that AccuFeed foot and the 91 needle positions. So the opening in the foot, I just got perfect spacing between all of those lines. And in the gray and the red is matchbook quilting. So the lines are just really, really close together. But if you look, the points just matched up beautifully. And that was with the use of the HP foot and plate. And I don't know if we could get a close-up of that binding. So the binding was done completely by machine. And you'll notice I do an applique stitch around my binding. And this is done completely on machine. Look at how beautifully that matches up. And this is a technique where I sew the binding on the back, flip to the front, and do that decorative stitching. But you could see the quilting work on this, even on the back. Absolutely beautiful. Just that precision that you're able to get with that AccuFeed foot is unbelievable. And both of those feet are available with both the Sky 7 and the Continental M7. Now, I did not point out the foot pedal for both machines is the same. On the Continental M7, we're getting that optional little foot. And what this is a scissor button remotely so that I could tap with my foot and cut my threads. And of course, on both machines, you'll get that beautifully nice, wide, heavy weighted foot pedal that I really do like. I think we're going to let Robin come back on and go over in detail the special with both machines. And I know her specials are for a limited time. So let's just let Robin give you the details of that.
Thanks, Alba. Hi, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed all the inspirational quilts. I have to mention that part of the bundle, part of the special giveaway, and we're going to continue this special till the April, at the end of April, because it is our virtual spring quilt show month. So listen, if you saw something today you really liked and you've been looking for a machine, because a lot of people come in, what I hear more than anybody is, wow, you know, I'm a beginner quilter, but I don't want to get into a heavy machine and I want to see if I really like it. Well, the next thing you know, they made 20 quilt tops and they sent one to the quilter and they're still going through sticker shock and they have 19 quilts and they're like, so what do we do? But anyway, we're so excited. These machines, whether you go with a Skyline 7 or the M7 Continental, or if you want an embroidery unit because you like some of the embroidery features you saw on Alba's quilts, you know that we have those specials. Now, what that includes, what I call is the Quilter's Priority Package, and that includes the ruler work kit that you saw and the binder foot attachment that you saw Cherry demonstrate on Mention It Monday. So you can go back to our YouTube channel and watch that and see that how it attaches. So you can use that, and it's 9mm, so you can use it on either machine. Unfortunately, we're live, and so we're not going to announce the prices, but you're more than welcome. If you look on the bottom of the screen, you can go in there and see how to get a hold of us. I'm so excited. I'm going to bring Alba back in for just a minute. No, there we go. Hey, Alba. Alba, we just thought we'd give you a chance to tell everybody bye. And thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. Oh, yes. Oh, in the kit that you see Alba with, I'm going to let Alba talk, and she's going to be showing the project that we'll be working on.
One thing I didn't mention is I did say at the beginning of the event that this was a 2-part special. So we had today where I went over the machines. There is an incredible special going on at the Stitching Post with pricing. So just like being at a show, we're trying to give you demonstrations on the machine, what you can achieve on the machines, and that special pricing. On the 16th is a class where we will be making a quilted zippered bag. And this is the one that I have that's mine that I use. So we will be doing quilting with a walking foot to actually quilt the fabrics. We will be inserting a zipper. And if you're petrified and never put in a zipper, this class will alleviate and take away all the fears of that. And this is just a great little project to give you a hands-on feel so that if you are lucky and you do get a machine, it will almost take you through the functions of the machine. But if not, please come and join us to make this cute project, and we will spend some more time together. But I just wanted to let you see what we will be doing on the 16th, and that is a Friday. So just that cute quilted zippered bag that's coming up. Make sure to sign up for that class. Go to the Facebook page, message the Stitching Post, give them a call. Just let them know that you're interested in taking that. If you do want to go in the store, I'm not quite sure if there are any seats left because I know that was limited seating, but you can take it virtually. So reach out to them at the Stitching Post about the class on the 16th. It was my pleasure to be here with you, to spend some time with you, and really reach out, message us with any questions. That way, if there are questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Alba. You did a beautiful job and a great
Bye,
presentation
everyone.
today. Bye-bye. So there you have it, the virtual spring quilt show, and you could have watched it in your pajamas. I want to thank all the ladies who bared with us through our technical problems this morning, and this was kind of a long video, but it's really worth watching. So tell your friends about it. It's on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch it all week long. But anyway, where do I sign up for this great class? Now listen, if you're just coming in there to make a free bag, please leave this time open to the people who really are interested in this machine. But you do have to sign up. We will have kits. Seating is limited. But what's really amazing is if you really like the Sky 7, we have some Sky 9s. Because one of the questions that I got on here was when they were watching the M7 was they were asking if that was an embroidery machine combo or just a sewing machine. Well, it's just a sewing machine. But if you really like some of those great features that you saw that was both on the Sky 7 and the M7, it just had to do about throat space. We have the Sky 9, which gives you embroidery. So some of what really impressed me is how she took that one quilt and quilted it with the embroidery hoop, which is really fun. And everybody is so into edge quilting with their embroidery unit. That's really hot right now. We've even done virtual classes on it. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Call us down here at the store, or you can email us. You can go to the website and click on the email button and email us if you have any questions. On some of the machines, we do trade-ins, but you'll have to call us at the store to negotiate those. But what's really cool on this special is the Quilter's Priority Package, where you get the quilt binding set and the Westerly ruler starter set, which is really great because as you grow from a person who just pieces those quilts together to putting the binding on and making the whole quilt, that's what I would call a priority package. Anyway, this is Robin Hill for saying, hey, Robin, what's sewing down at the post? We thank you so much for joining us live. Have a great day and a great weekend.